Thanks for click and play. I'm Marcus Vadas. You're watching On Air, filmed here at the beautiful Postmodern Studios in Irvine, Cali.
Not the West Side, dude.
Come on, dude. I gotta throw it up.
No.
Snoop Dogg does it like this, but I do it like this. So it's a little...
No.
Thanks, Jim. Jim's a motivational speaker on the weekends. Really appreciate it. So our next guest today is this really cool guy. He is the creative director and vice president of RiechesBaird Advertising in Orange County. He's worked on brands such as Avis, British Airways, Ford, Panasonic, and Jim Beam, just to name a few. Not only that, before RiechesBaird, this guy's worked all over the world. New Zealand, Singapore, London, LA. He's been here for the last 7 years, winning awards. Let's get into it. Ewan Pidgeon, everybody. Ewan Pidgeon.
Hey, Marcus.
Thanks for coming on board, man. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
So, RiechesBaird.
RiechesBaird.
A lot of people pronounce it RiechesBaird.
We get all sorts of pronunciations, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's RiechesBaird.
RiechesBaird. And you're not an ad agency.
No, we're a brand development firm.
Brand development firm.
Which advertising is just one part of that. But we specialize in business-to-business branding. So it's taking the brand strategy right through to execution, and there's not many firms do that.
Tell me a little bit about B2B. A lot of people know what business to business is, but they don't quite know what an agency does as far as the difference between business to business and consumer advertising. So I know what it is because I'm brilliant, right. But these guys, the sheep, we need to explain it for them.
Well, say in the context of one of our clients, we do a lot of work with Toyota, the Toyota Industrial Equipment Division, which is primarily lift trucks. So we're marketing those lift trucks through the dealers to the end user. The relationship's a bit more complex than if you were, say, selling a car. So we're not just talking to the guy who drives the lift truck. He could be part of the decision making, but it may be a fleet manager, could be a warehouse manager.
So you're telling Toyota how to talk to their dealers.
We're advising them on how to make sure the dealers are all saying the same sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, but it has to start. It starts a bit earlier than that. It starts more with the branding has to be aligned with the business strategy. So everything's got to be all locked into place for it to work successfully. So
give me a little rundown of how you would head into a campaign. Like, it's not a typical campaign, or I mean, is it the same elements that a typical campaign, a consumer campaign, would have?
It could be. Just your audience is a lot more targeted. We're in trade publications. We're the equivalent online. It might be an intranet the dealers all work off. We might be supplying them with materials so the dealers can put their own advertising and marketing initiatives together, but make sure they're all aligned with the brand values that follow Toyota. And
one of your comments here, you said we don't do creative pitches.
No.
And you don't think any agency should.
No.
Tell me about that. What do
you? We won't do a creative pitch on spec. We'll do it if we're paid to do that pitch. But the one thing that agencies and firms like ours still have, the one thing that's valuable, the most valuable thing, is the ideas. So I don't want to be giving that away for nothing.
How do you get work then if you don't do? I mean, do people just see your work and say, hey, you know what, these are the guys, and let's go with them? I mean, typically, they do the RFP goes out to 12 different agencies, and
we turn down a lot of those. We don't answer. If we spent all our time answering RFPs, we'd never be able to service our current clients.
Yeah.
And the other thing that always bothered me about pitching was the agencies. They put their best teams on a speculative creative pitch. Who's working on the stuff back at the office on your paying clients?
So give me a little bit of background about, you say that you guys don't do timesheets at your agency. So what's a typical workflow? How do you guys delegate?
So rather than charging hourly and billing that way, shouldn't we be charging for what an idea is worth? What's the value of, say, this new corporate ID package? What is the value of that?
I think put a value on an idea.
What it's worth to the client, and we've looked at doing success related deals, where we get paid according to the success of a deal. we're open to those sort of arrangements.
So if it goes up, if whatever the incremental.
We're confident that we drive business success through our brand
That's
work.
going to make the client feel pretty good, right? I mean, that's got to be a cool thing. It's like, we'll say, hey, we get paid based on the performance of the idea.
Sure.
You also made another comment, OC ad awards are shit. Talk about that.
I'm very skeptical about the amount of work that's being done primarily for award shows.
Right. So they don't do it for the brand, they don't do it for the product, they do it for the award.
Yeah, and also it's like when most people start off in advertising, they don't quite grasp the whole target audience thing. They're doing an ad for their mates in the next office to like. I mean, that's the reality of a lot of it.
Yeah.
And it's only when you start to see, okay, we have to use a different voice, different way to talk to people. People are doing ads to talk to ad juries on occasions, and I don't know if you've ever been on an advertising jury, but it's quite an interesting experience.
I have.
Like, I've seen people look at a bit of work and go, oh, that's quite nice, and then turn it over and go, oh, yeah, that's really good.
Because of who it's from.
Because of who's done it has influenced their decision on it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's always like that.
Yeah.
And we're very particular about which shows we enter. We tend to go for the B2B.
So you do enter.
We'll
in
enter
the award
specific
shows.
B2B shows, but we don't. The Orange County one, the market's maybe a little bit too narrow. Plus, to be the categories don't suit us. There's one print category, so we're going to put B2B ads up against big consumer campaigns.
Yeah.
Whereas the TV categories
It's flooded.
There's one for cars, there's one for the food, there's one for this.
Yeah.
It seems a bit of an imbalance. So we enter national shows, national B2B shows. New York BMA.
And you guys have won a lot of awards.
Oh yeah, we do, but
Pretty
they're not. It's like I say again, it's specialist B2B, which is where we belong and where we want to be recognised. And one thing that I've been encouraged with, particularly lately in the B2B shows, is that 25% of the vote is based on the results. It's based on effectiveness.
So you do the analytics and say, hey, since this came out, such and such has jumped up.
Right. There has to be some relevance to that work, rather than here's this wildly wonderful.
Yeah, here's a cool looking piece.
I mean, how much award-winning work is the most effective work? I think we've seen over the years, particularly in say the fast food category, that award-winning work doesn't shift that food. It's the deals and the dollar menus that drive that business.
Right. Ewan, thanks a lot for coming down.
Pleasure. Good to see
Really
you, Marcus.
appreciate it. It was a lot of good stuff there. To learn more about RiechesBaird, look down at the bottom of the screen and click the URL. It'll take you to their website. You can read their bios and look at their client work. It's good stuff. We will see you next week. Thanks for click and play. I'm Marcus Vadas, and we're out.